Published 11:10 EDT, the 13th of August 2017. Updated 11:38 EDT, the 13th of August 2017. Lara Trump has attacked Morning Joe's Mika for saying that Donald Trump was happy to pander to neo-Nazis in the wake of the violent Charlottesville protests. Brzezinski slammed the president after he failed to condemn the white supremacist and nationalist groups at the Unite the Right rally after they turned deadly yesterday. Instead, he chose to lay blame on many sides. "We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry and violence on many sides, he said. Mika Brzezinski, who has repeatedly clashed with the president, claimed Donald Trump had been reluctant to upset his far-right supporters. Lara Trump attacked the Morning Joe co-host for suggesting Trump was happy to pander to neo-Nazis in the wake of the violent Charlottesville protests. Trump's daughter-in-law Lara, Eric's wife, has hit back at the Morning Joe co-host, tweeting a statement the president made on Brzezinski's show. His failed attempt to condemn the act as terrorism was met with harsh criticism. But today, his daughter, Ivanka Trump, had no qualms about calling out the far right. "There should be no place in society for racism, white supremacy and neo-Nazis," she tweeted. "We must all come together as Americans and be one country, united." Charlottesville. Yesterday, Brzezinski, who has repeatedly clashed with the president, claimed Donald Trump had been reluctant to upset his far-right supporters. Trump was happy to pander to neo-Nazis, KKK members who support him. "These anti-American hate groups are certainly happy with him. Shame." The tweet refers in part to David Duke, a former KKK member who previously voiced support for Trump. Ivanka Trump had no qualms about calling out the far right. "There should be no place in society for racism, white supremacy and neo-Nazis," she tweeted. Ivanka, pictured watching her father answer questions about North Korea on Friday, said that people must all come together as Americans and be one country, united. President Trump admonished the day's tragic events, saying in a press conference, "We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, violence, on many sides," but many thought he did not go far enough. Now Trump's daughter-in-law Lara, Eric's wife, has hit back at the Morning Joe co-host, tweeting a statement the president made on Brzezinski's show. "David Duke is a bad person, who I disavowed on numerous occasions. I disavowed him. I disavowed the KKK." Trump on Morning Joe, she tweeted. Brzezinski and Trump have clashed repeatedly in recent months, including one occasion when the president went on a vicious, personal attack on the news anchor, calling her crazy and claiming she was bleeding badly from a facelift when at New Year's Eve. Yet Brzezinski wasn't the only one to criticize Trump for his statement after James Alex Fields Jr. of Maumee, Ohio, allegedly plowed his vehicle into the crowd at the rally yesterday, killing one woman, and leaving 19 injured. Even his fellow Republicans slammed Trump for failing to tackle the issue. "Very important for the nation to hear at POTUS describe events in Charlottesville for what they are, a terror attack by white supremacists," tweeted Sen. Marco Rubio, a former 2016 GOP presidential candidate. The Dodge Challenger pictured, which is registered to Fields, plowed into counter-protesters, killing one woman and hospitalizing 19 others, as violence erupted at a rally where thousands of white nationalists gathered for an alt-right event in Charlottesville, Virginia, on Saturday. Police said a total of 35 people were treated for injuries. A witness claimed the act was intentional. He said, "Yeah, it was intentional. About 40 miles an hour, hit about 15-20 people, crashed into the two cars in front of it, and then backed up and sped away while cops were standing on the side of the road and didn't do anything." People were heard screaming and crying in the aftermath of the smash, as blood was splattered on a car's windshield and victims were desperately calling out for medical help. Thousands of white supremacists took to the streets of Charlottesville for the Unite the Right rally on Saturday. "We should call evil by its name," added Utah Sen. Orrin Hatch, the most senior Republican in the Senate. "My brother didn't give his life fighting Hitler for Nazi ideas to go unchallenged here at home." Sen. Cory Gardner, Colorado, Rep., added, "Mr. President, we must call evil by its name. These were white supremacists and this was domestic terrorism." Republican strategist Ana Navarro commented on Trump's statement and said, "This is not many sides. It's white supremacist terrorism. The President of the United States does not have the spine to say so. Shameful." Texas Sen. Ted Cruz immediately called for the Department of Justice to investigate and prosecute the individual responsible for the terrorist act. Late Saturday night, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions said racial bigotry and hatred cannot be tolerated. When reporters asked the White House what exactly Trump meant by "on many sides," and posted their statement on Twitter, the president was condemning hatred, bigotry and violence from all sources and all sides, the official said. There was violence between protesters and counter-protesters today. Florida Sen. Marco Rubio called out the president for not describing the events in Charlottesville for what they are, a terror attack by white supremacists. Meanwhile, Arizona Sen. John McCain called the white supremacists traitors to their country. Texas Sen. Ted Cruz weighed in on the deadly crash and violent scene in Charlottesville, calling it repulsive and evil. He also urged the Department of Justice to investigate and prosecute Saturday's act of domestic terrorism. Trump was swiftly denounced on Twitter for failing to denounce the white supremacists in Charlottesville or even reference racism or anti-Semitism in connection with the violence. Duke previously said on Saturday that the white supremacist demonstrators were fulfilling the promises of Donald Trump. "That's what we believed in. That's why we voted for Donald Trump. Because he's going to take our country back," he said. However, Duke, the president, has received previous criticism for being slow to condemn acts of hate done in his name. Trump added, "We all must be united, condemn all that hate stands for. There is no place for this kind of violence in America. Let's come together as one." First Lady Melania Trump tweeted, "Our country encourages freedom of speech, but let's communicate what hate in our hearts. No good comes from violence." And though the White House may have been slow to condemn the hateful acts, Gov. McAuliffe gave a powerful speech in which he said all of the so-called patriotic white nationalists are not wanted in the United States. "My message is clear: we are stronger than you. You will not succeed," he said. "There is no place for you here and there is no place for you in America." McAuliffe also said he spoke to the president on Saturday following the horrific acts of violence in Virginia. "I told the president that there has got to be a movement in this country to bring us together," he said. McAuliffe said he told the president that he's willing to work with him to stop the hate speech and the bigotry in this country. Violence erupted at the rally on Saturday where thousands of white nationalists gathered for an outright protest. One woman was killed and 19 more were injured after Fields Jr., of Maumee, Ohio, allegedly plowed his vehicle into the crowd.